Hi everyone, it's Phil and I'm in the shed. Yes, surrounded by all my treasures. And I'm here for a very special reason today, doing something I've never done down here before, and that is to attempt to do a voiceover edit on a video. This is a first for me. So I hope all goes well as we attempt to create this video for you right now. It's a video made by Caroline and myself on our recent trip to London. As many of you know, Caroline has celebrated a significant birthday, and we did it by going to the capital city of London as tourists. Now, we've been there many times for many reasons, but always it was for a reason, whether it was taking one of the children to hospital or whatever, visiting my mum when she worked there. But this time, 5 days, tourists. And we were determined to see as much as we could, and we wanted to share it with you. But rather than try and create the videos in the way we normally do, I just took the camera along with us as we walked and created some footage, a lot of footage. And we want to try and assemble that and make it an experience for you of London as we saw it, because it's a beautiful place. We were staying just a few minutes away from the Tate Modern. Now that's a converted power stations on the South Bank. We were staying in Southwark, and that's where the Tate Modern is. Beautiful, beautiful place, which we visited later in the week and will share with you at some other time. Everywhere you go in London, where we were staying and for miles beyond, you see all manner of buildings. You see churches and chapels that have been there for so long, and then you just turn to the other side of the road across the traffic and you see a tower of glass reaching up to the sky. That's the way it is in the city, as it is in all the major cities around the world and across the UK. But we wanted to take a trip across to the other side of London, wanted to go over to the Museum District, and we took a visit to the Victoria and Albert. But we want to share the journey, and we want to share some of the beautiful things we saw when we got there. So come along and join us now. As we always say, let's go. So here we are at the beginning of our journey alongside the Thames, looking out along the water. And although we don't have the permits to go on the beach and collect, it is so tempting to take a walk down. And we thought you'd never forgive us if we didn't let you have a little look. So we're going to just take a little stroll on the beach as we go along. And folks, please feel free to shout if you see something, but we won't be able to pick it up. Still, it'll be nice just to say we've been down on the foreshore of the River Thames, won't it? Well, that was great fun. I hope you enjoyed the music and the trip on the banks. But now we're back up on the top and looking forward to when they reissue new certificates. But look at this view and look at this lamppost. Everything in London is spectacular. They take something as simple as a lamppost and make it beautiful. But of course, there's also work going on everywhere. So there's always noise in the city, so I'm sorry about that. Here we are, another lamppost coming up, and we're walking under the bridge. And as we walk under this bridge, you can hear the trains going over the top. It rumbles away. Everything is sound, but the sound as well as the sights make the city. And as we look at the structure of this bridge and beyond to the buildings on the other side, the old up against the new, that's the thing you see in London so many times. And here's one structure that is certainly a newer piece of London, the London Eye. We didn't go on it, but it was very impressive as we stood by it. Then the other side of Westminster Bridge, we get this gorgeous view of Parliament. Look at that. But of course, as well as the trains, the buses, the cars, we've also got the planes, because there are a few airports at the city, so we've got noise above as well. Then when we come up onto the Westminster Bridge, we can see the great big lion there, but also the tourist buses with the open tops as they take the tourists around London. Here's a London bus coming, another tour bus behind, and there's Big Ben in the distance. And we're just approaching, and look at that for timing, folks. We get to hear the 11 o'clock strike of Big Ben. I'm sorry about the wind, but it's worth listening to anyway. What a majestic sound, and what a glorious sight. And then beyond Parliament we come to some statues. This is the statue of Churchill, the famous Prime Minister, and just beyond we've got David Lloyd George. Now he's a very famous Prime Minister, especially in these parts. He's the only Welsh Prime Minister we've ever had. Quite a character he was too. Then alongside him we have various statues of the great and the good and those that were considered important in their day, many of them from the Victorian era. But it's not just the Victorian era, because here we see Mahatma Gandhi, and just along the way as we travel down we see Nelson Mandela, another great world leader, pride of place here in London. But just behind him, across the road, as that bus goes by, there's a statue there that I really want to share, particularly for our wonderful friends, so many that live in the United States of America. Because yes, here in London, we have Abraham Lincoln standing proud right in front of that beautiful building, which is the Supreme Court. And here at the Supreme Court we see just the opulence and the beauty of the carvings on the building. They are absolutely stunning. I don't know if the camera is really doing justice to how sharp the images were, but we were very impressed by this building. Not a building that would be on most people's lists to look at, But because we're walking through London rather than taking the tube, we're seeing all these things that wouldn't have been on our list. They're just places we passed on the way. Wow, I could have stood there all day looking at this one building and taking in the detail, but of course when I turn around there is just so much more buses as always. But there in the background you've got the Westminster Cathedral, and it's just amazing to realise how these ancient buildings stand amongst the traffic and alongside the modern, and of course with all of the noise and hustle and bustle of the city too. And there on top of the cathedral you see the flag flying, and here we see the guards marching. This is over at the barracks just beyond Buckingham Palace, and before we arrived all the roads around Buckingham Palace had been closed because these guys were out on the street, and it was a time for pomp and ceremony, and everything stops in London for pomp and ceremony. Look at those two catching up at the back. And here is some more military on horseback. We couldn't go any further. The policeman stopped us. He's waiting for notification to open the roads, so we had to wait.
One guard change, the Mall crossing and Buckgate crossings to be reopened. That's the Mall and Buckgate.
There we go. He's had the word. They're going to reopen, so the birds are flying, and we can take a little look at these gorgeous gates and go up a little closer just to take a look at Buckingham Palace, the residence of the King. And what perfect timing. A couple of guards come in to pick up their instruments. They've obviously got separated from their mates. So, made a good video for us. And now we're on our way again, heading over across London. And look at this. Strolling along, and this is the Wellington Arch. An amazing piece of architecture just stood there for us to walk through. And as we go through these gates, wow, they are so impressive. Worth the trip just to take a look at that. Imagine that being cast in a foundry over 100 years ago. Isn't that awesome? And as we come over to the other side, there's the other one of the pair. Absolutely fantastic. And right there, free to be seen by everyone. And as we come back, look above, we see the chariot charging on the roof. And just over the other side, opposite the Wellington Memorial, we see this memorial to more modern times. Now we've got to cross a road. Yeah, there's a lot of traffic, a lot of roads to cross, but all we can do is wait and wait, because we can't go until the green man appears. There he is. Off we go. And as you'll notice as we cross the road, a lot of people around these parts like to use two wheels to get around the city. Look at that. Beautiful hotel. All those lovely flags flying in the breeze. Gorgeous sky. And over on this side we've got a more recognisable brand perhaps. Harvey Nichols. Walking down, we've got Diesel. And we've got Ted Baker's. Sadly, I only heard yesterday that they've gone into receivership. But they were still doing a brisk trade when we were up. A couple more shops here, Russell Bromley. and I believe it's Zara that we're coming to on the end here. But of course, the shop that everyone knows of in London is the one right in front of us here, because there is Harrods store. As you can see, we could have caught the underground. There's the Knightsbridge station. Harrods covers the entire block, and it looks glorious. All of its windows, signs, domes, and here's another building that's very prestigious. This is the Natural History Museum, and on the inside it is even more awesome than the outside. But as you may be able to hear, folks, it's rather noisy. Yes, it is, because this place attracts a lot of school trips from London and way beyond. Even from Wales, they'll go up to London. And with exhibits like that hanging from the roof, and with architecture like this to display it in, you can understand why they come. But of course, it's nigh on impossible to film when there are children around. So, we made our way to our destination, the Victoria and Albert Museum. Look at this for a grand entrance. Let's take a look inside. Oh man, this is just the porch, the foyer, as they like to call it. We've walked about 3 steps in through the front door, and look at that panelled ceiling and all this gorgeous stonework, leaded lights. It is incredible. The detail, it is fantastic. I was well impressed, and we hadn't even got inside the building. But of course, when we did step inside the building, oh wow, just look up there, folks. This is the reception. What a dome. And hanging below the light of the dome, that amazing modern piece of art glass. But here we've got a quieter area. This is what we tend to imagine museums to be full of. Statues and pillars. And the great, the good, as they lie in rest. And in fairness, in here they've got stuff on a pretty big scale. I was well impressed by this piece. Wow. But here's some smaller bits. Yes, you know me. I love my teapots, but I also love my architectural salvage. And this piece will take some beating. Take a look at the carving on that. It's from the 1600s, and it's a circular stairway, spiral staircase I should say, I suppose, going up 3 levels, and they've still got the balcony frontages. All of the stuff in here was taken from buildings that have been lost and destroyed, and they salvaged these pieces. Up on the walls there you see icons and statues. As you can see on the left is the Simon Sainsbury Gallery that we're going through. Some more statues up on the right. But just around on the left here is another piece that I thought was absolutely awesome. Look at this. This is a complete frontage of a building. All the carving, all the timbers of the windows, taken from a building that was demolished and rescued. Of course, quite a lot of the items come from churches, like this phenomenal mosaic. But as beautiful as the mosaic was, I was quite impressed with some of the timber that they had hanging on these walls. As they say, look at the patina on that. And now we're making our way through, and look at that V&A carved into the marble balustrade as we're up one level. Then we continue up the marble steps, and got this gentleman in front of us here looking very grandly carved. Then we carry on up through the marble onto the next level, and as we come through here you can see beautiful view of that glorious piece of glass art that we saw when we came in, hanging from this dome. But that's not the only modern thing, because this whole exhibition is labelled Divas, and it's been so popular that crowds were queuing to go in and see this display. But here we have what for me was my favourite. I loved this, absolutely loved it. The artist has taken a load of old instruments that were in dust gathering in the backs of buildings, flattened them and hung them so they can be seen from below and above. What a beautiful way to introduce a lovely piece of music and a few more items from the museum for you to see. And now here we are, gazing out the window and realising it's time to head home. But this time we're not walking, folks. We've been on our feet for 6 hours. So we're going to take the easy route home. Yep. Riding down on the escalator as we head way underneath the city of London in search of our transport home. And here it comes. This is our tube that will take us all the way back to our hotel where we can have a rest. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. It was amazing. The sights, the sounds, the experience. And we just so wanted to share that with so many of you who may never get the chance to visit London. But we wanted you to see it as we saw it. We wanted you to be there with us. And I hope that my efforts to create a video in this way, which as I say I've never done before, have worked for you, and that we've conveyed at least some of the atmosphere and most of all, the joy we shared in being there, celebrating Caroline's birthday and enjoying the sights and the sounds and the smells of a city that is so vibrant, so loud, so alive. Well, if you have enjoyed it, please, please, please give us a thumbs up. That would be great. And if you could share it with your friends, that would be fantastic. As I always say, the more the merrier. But this time, as every time, we want to say till the next time, have fun. Bye.